Good morning, Teach Better family. My name is Katie Miglin, and I'm with the wonderful Joshua Stamper. And we are here today with your Teach Better Today morning show, where we join you every morning at 7 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Central, and really early Mountain Time, which is where Josh is at. We are excited. We're going to get into kind of a fun topic, but kind of spin it into some much needed conversation around Halloween, which is right around the corner. And so in the chat, drop where you're at, who you are, what do you do, all the, the normal things. And we'll be right back. Good morning, Teach Better family. Welcome to Teach Better Today, where we are live on all of our social media platforms at really early in the morning, time o'clock. I'm Katie Miglin, and I'm with Joshua _. Okay, I give up. I quit.
_Stamper.
I know I got the score and the Stamper.
It's because it's the most ridiculous handle ever, and I'm sorry.
But it's original. It's just not good to say when your coffee hasn't kicked in. That's all it is.
I did notice that you talked about how early it is multiple times this morning already, as you have a very large cup of coffee in hand. So
I do.
You're on the struggle bus a little bit this morning.
A little bit. I'm just wondering at some point, can I just can I just show up with a gallon? Would people judge me if I showed up to one of these shows with a gallon of coffee? And
no, I think I've shown off some of my very large coffee mugs on the show before. So, I mean, just get in line.
Okay, can I tell you a funny story? And then I promise we won't talk about coffee because that is something we do often. We had a brewery at my old school that donated a bunch of stuff, like a local brewery. Love them. Shout out to K Grove.
Nice.
One of the owners is an educator, and they donated all these beer mugs and coffee mugs for us to have as teachers for Teacher Appreciation Week. The same day that another coffee shop donated the big containers of coffee. So by the time I got down to the teacher's lounge, all the coffee mugs were taken. And so I was like, well, I really want the beer mug because that's cool, but I really want a cup of coffee. So I literally filled a glass beer mug with coffee and just walked up to my classroom. Here's what was funny is the kids thought nothing of it. They were like, that's normal for a teacher to have a beer mug of coffee.
And maybe just adults in general, based on their experience.
They were like, what's happening? And I was like, I really wanted coffee. And I walked away winner because I got more coffee because the beer mug was bigger than the coffee mug. So
a little Irish coffee in the morning?
It was not. It was normal. It was just a black cup of coffee. But it was literally in this giant glass mug. And I don't know, it was probably the most successful thing I did that whole day, honestly. So
that's funny. Well, yeah. I love how they coordinated together to make sure that they supplied both.
Right.
For you. I mean, that's wonderful.
Exactly. Well, good morning, friends. We hope you're having a coffee-filled, caffeine-filled morning. We are excited to start your day with you. And we kind of want to get into a fun topic that Josh and I have had many conversations about before, just, in passing. But Josh, the biggest holiday in my life is right around the corner. Do you know what holiday that is?
Well, it's funny that you say that because I was walking the dog last night and saw some decorations. You probably hear my daughter in the background. She's very excited also.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I saw some decorations. I thought of your big shindig that's coming up soon.
Yes.
And I know you talked about it a little bit before.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, I know it's been brought up before, our house, really my husband and I, for 10 plus years have had a Halloween party. It's we started it when we bought our house as a housewarming, hey, come see our house, and then never stopped. But we do lots of games. That's where I get a lot of the ridiculous ideas for games for your classrooms. costume contest, the whole 9 yards. So if you do not follow me on social media, follow me so you can kind of see the shenanigans in a few weeks. But yeah, okay. So Josh, I agree that Halloween obviously is like my favorite holiday, but I feel like people's game has been totally stepped up this year with outdoor decor. Do you agree?
Okay, I'm so glad you said this because there was a house I passed that had probably like 30 large, just a variety. There was large skeletons, there were these inflatables to the point where I could barely see the house itself.
Yes.
And I was just my jaw dropped to the ground. I didn't understand like so you're looking out your window and that's all you see because you
Right.
know and especially in Colorado like we have beautiful mountains and pine trees everywhere and like you don't get to see any of that because
No.
you have these large purple and green and orange inflatables everywhere. Now, respect for their decoration game, but at the same point, I just thought it was maybe a little too excessive. And I've seen multiple houses this way.
Yeah, like I feel like there was, if you saw someone that had Halloween decorations outside, it was like one or two every couple blocks. Like, but now if you don't, it's like almost as much as Christmas, honestly. Like it seems just as much popular, I guess. And it's funny because we actually don't have a lot of outdoor decor because we do all of our decorating in our house. And our daughters are so not happy with us because they're like, you guys claim we're big into Halloween and we literally have nothing. So I was telling Josh before we got on that this is like a hot topic in our house right now because I obviously am in Illinois, so we still are mowing our lawn frequently. And my husband is like, I'm not putting all that stuff on the lawn because every time I mow, I have to take it all off. And I told him that's not a good excuse. But yeah, I'm interested, like, when you drop where you're at, let us know. Is this a thing that's like across the country? Is this like taking the country by storm of like Halloween decorations, like 2.0? Because I agree, it's like the big inflatables. Huge thing around here right now is the giant skeletons. Like,
Yes.
the skeletons are as tall as your house, which I'm
Yeah,
like,
they're like 20 feet high.
yeah, and I'm like really jealous. So if we could get someone to sponsor a skeleton to be in my house, I'll decorate it however you want. Like whatever company logo needs to be on the outside, I just want the skeleton.
Katie
And
needs at least 10 of those.
I'll settle for one. I'll do one. That's all I need. I don't know. They're really freaking cool.
They're pretty cool. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. But I agree with you. Like if that is literally what's outside your house and that's all you see, it's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah, the kids want more, obviously, like the
Right.
more that they see. But I do feel like it's kind of neighborhood, at least where we are, like very specific. So, like some go all out, and it seems like everyone's on the same board, and then others is like just real hit or miss.
Yeah. Mhm.
So we were taking a walk the other day, and there's one neighborhood. There was maybe two houses in the whole
Yeah.
neighborhood that we saw like decorations, and then there's others is like the whole the whole block is is like Halloween Central. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. Like just kind of how there's different pockets that
Mhm.
are
And
really into it.
And when they come out, because, like, that's a big discussion in our house is, like, when do we decorate for Halloween? Because we want it to last, obviously, for, like, Halloween night, but it has snowed multiple Halloweens before, and some of that some of those decorations are not meant for snow. Like, we had to replace them last year because they did not survive the, like, weird snowstorm. So, I feel like that also plays a big part in it as, like, if you want it out for the whole month, you're committed to, like, some big decorations. So
All right, I want to ask the audience here. Like, what is that? What is the time frame that you can put decorations out? Because I'm going to be honest, with COVID, after
mhm.
Halloween, there was a certain holiday that my kids expected
Yeah.
2 months prior to have decorations up. Now, under the circumstance, we said yes, but now it's become an expectation that
Oh,
November 1st, yeah, November
wow.
1st is when the tree and other decorations come back up. And I just wonder when
I
everyone puts up, is it 30 days? Is it 14 days? Like
Right, like,
what's the
what's this
norm?
timeline? Yeah, that's a
What's
good
the appropriate
question.
norm? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I would like to hear that.
fill the
And
chat.
does it depend on the holiday? Because I do agree, I feel like Christmas decor has gotten earlier and earlier. So you're, like, looking at what, like, 60 days potentially?
Now I love that holiday, so I'm one to say yes, even though probably people are in the chat right now telling me it's a horrible idea and that there's
Probably.
probably a lot of reasons not to do it. But I'm one that like listens to Christmas music all year round, so I'm weird in that way. I know.
And I don't think you're weird. Honestly, I think you are becoming more of the norm than I am. I think I'm weird because I do not support that.
Oh, I know where you stand. I know exactly where you stand. Now, I will say there are radio stations in this country that play it year
Nonstop.
round. So
Mhm.
I'm just saying, there's some folks out there that are with me. But I just wanted to know what most people feel are the norm as far as any holiday.
Yeah, that's
Even fall, Thanksgiving, all that kind of stuff.
yes, because it's assumed that we will probably talk about like people putting up Christmas decor or whatever winter decor here in the next, month or so. But yeah, let
Hanukkah.
us know, how long do you leave your decorations up? Like how far out from the holiday do you put them up? And then how long afterwards? Because that also can be interesting.
A lot of passion
And
here in these comments. I know.
I
I can already
know,
feel it.
I know. And I feel like I could just use some life coaching because I never figure it out. And yeah, I mean,
Just do what the kids want. It's all about the kids.
no, it is not about the kids. I'm not one of those moms, Josh. No. All right, we're gonna switch. We're not gonna completely switch gears. We're actually gonna stay with the holiday theme. But are you ready for our team talk?
Yes, but I think we need to dive into the control issues later.
That's another episode. All right, welcome back, Teach Better Community. My name is Katie Miglin, and I'm with Josh Stamper, and we have had a great conversation so far talking about Halloween decorations, holiday decorations, kind of all the things. But when Josh and I were starting to talk about this topic and how this was like, something we wanted to kind of talk about, we started talking about this month, October typically starts the month where we transition into a lot of holidays from a lot of different cultures. And some are acknowledged in the school system, some are not, some are acknowledged through parties. Like it kind of opened this big can of worms. And so one of the things we kind of wanted to talk about was like kid parties. And I know like secondary, typically, I feel like we kind of get away from it. They might do some like I worked at a middle school. They always had a Halloween dance. They might have like one big school wide thing. But when you're in the elementary buildings, I feel like it is a thing still. Correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, but it's still a thing where there's some level of holiday parties, whether it's Halloween, it's like winter, St. Patrick's Day, like whatever it is, there's some sort of holiday party. And every time I've helped out with my daughters, I really struggle with the kids who don't celebrate the holiday. And like I luckily was in secondary, so I could ignore it because it was easy to do like fall stuff. But it was like, as an elementary teacher, how do you navigate that when you have kids in your classroom who have their own holidays that aren't getting acknowledged, but also who are now being expected to have fun, which the kids typically don't care, right? But it's like, how do you include all that? So, Josh, I'm going to pick your brain today. What do you do? Help.
Yeah, right. So thankfully I was also in secondary. So like, for us, it was mostly just trying to be as inclusive as possible
Mhm.
with our families and really trying to reach out to understand like where our families were coming from. We used to do a giant world map in our hallway in like the main entrance. And we used to have a survey for all our families and our students to understand like, what region, did they originate from, I think we had like 84 different countries represented with our
Mhm.
school. And, the language, like original language, religion, holidays, if they wanted to provide that, just so that we can get an understanding of like how diverse our group was. And
Yeah.
then also just like how could we, celebrate what they believe and include everybody, because that's the one beautiful thing about schools, is that we did have so much representation
Mhm.
in that space. So it's easy to just fall in line with like the United States and our
Right.
holidays, but we have to understand that there's just so many folks that are coming with different experiences, backgrounds, beliefs, and we don't want to single anyone out. And we don't want to make sure that, when they're entering our building, they feel like a part of a giant family. And so, um, we tried our best to make sure that, every single holiday that was, represented, that was in that survey, we had some sort of, somewhere in the building, a celebration, on a wall or on the announcements, or,
Mhm.
just trying to teach the students to, if it's Chinese New Year, or
Mhm.
like fill in the Hanukkah, whatever. Like there are just a lot of kids that don't even get any experience
Right.
or understanding of those holidays and what they mean to so many people. And so we want to make sure that we were also trying to, you know, educate a little bit about the different cultures, so that way that, there's more empathetic and
Mhm.
understanding of folks, and to know that there's just a lot of beliefs out there that are different and vast, and to make sure that we're accepting of all of those. So that's not an easy thing to do, especially at the elementary level, because there are so many parties. I feel like there's like a flyer or an announcement every other day. I feel like I'm getting from my kids about the variety, but I think the main thing is that we're doing everything possible to make sure that every student comes in and feels accepted.
I 100% agree. I love that you try to include everything, but not just holidays and not just like the beliefs. Like you really opened the door for your families to say, this is a little bit about us. And this is kind of what makes our family who we are and makes us unique, because that's really important, because there are some families who don't celebrate any holidays or don't acknowledge anything. And so we want to make sure that they feel seen as well. But one thing you kind of brought up was like the idea that like we want to make sure that kids still feel included. And I think that's where I struggle sometimes is, and like I've been very lucky. I've not experienced this firsthand, but the idea that if your child doesn't want to participate, there will be an alternate activity. And then we look at what that activity is, and it's not nearly as cool as the party. And, I think like a 7-year-old is just seeing it as I have a day from school that I am hanging out, playing with my friends, doing a fun craft, eating a fun snack. Like, I think sometimes there is some of that innocence where they don't necessarily even process, like, this is a holiday I celebrate or don't celebrate or whatever, which is great. But how can we be inclusive of students, no matter what they celebrate or don't celebrate, where they can still feel part of that community, is where the big message is that you kind of highlighted. Because it's really easy for us to give families an out to say, if you're not interested in having your child participate in this, they can do something else. But then that's just putting it on either the educator or the school to figure something else out. And how do you really navigate that to make it just as fun and memorable for a student when now they're like being separated? You know what I mean? So I think we've got
Yep.
to find that balance of, does it always have to be like totally about the holiday? Or, like we said, could it be like a fall party? And sure, if there's pumpkins and jack-o'-lanterns and witches, like fine. But like, how can you make it so that every kid feels like they truly can be a part of it and be a part of that family unit at school? Because I feel like it gets messy when you start like detaching kids from the community. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was just even thinking outside of parties, just like as a teacher, because I was an art teacher. And so there were certain projects that I had parents say, like, my child can't draw
Mhm.
a face of an animal, or,
Yeah.
fill in the blank as to some of the belief systems that they had and did not partake in. And so, like, it was the same deal, right? I wanted the student to feel inclusive. I want to make sure that they felt like they weren't being singled out. I wasn't highlighting anything that they weren't allowed to do. And so, finding an alternative and then partnering with the parents and the student to figure out what that next step was, so that, obviously I could see the mastered skill,
Mhm. Right.
and just in a different way that, for those specific students. And there were even things like, parent teacher conferences, like trying to shake the mother's hand, and within that
Yeah.
culture it's not allowed, just things like that I wasn't understanding of. And
Right.
I had to apologize and then try to learn as quickly as possible, about just the social norms of that family. And so I think being open-minded, but then asking questions, like not being afraid of making a mistake because they knew my heart. They knew I was just trying to be cordial and respectful to them. And by no means do I mean any ill will, but they were extremely appreciative of me asking questions and trying to get some understanding. And of course I apologized, and it was, I strengthened the conversation and the relationship. So moving forward, they were extremely open to let me know of certain things about their religion or culture. So that way that I was a better teacher because of it. And we had a stronger relationship, not only myself and the student, but myself and the family. And I think that's where we need to do, just a better job as a school environment, is just making sure that we have an opportunity for all voices to speak and to share how we can be better with holidays, with just celebrating in general. Because, it's so important to make sure that everyone is feeling included in that community.
100%. I just want to kind of reiterate to ask questions, to be okay with being vulnerable. We've talked about it on here before, but it's okay for you not to know everything. I think sometimes as educators, even if we get over that initial hurdle of, we have to know everything about our content area, we know that's not true, but that also means we don't have to know everything about everyone. And that was a hard pill for me to swallow early on, was just like accepting that there's a whole world out there that we may not know. And like you said, just asking questions, apologizing when we make a mistake, and accepting that it's just part of who we are. We're just learning. And the more we can learn, the more we're modeling for our students that they're open to learning about others. And I think that's such a quality skill to have in the long run. So I love that you said it goes beyond the parties. It goes beyond even just the holidays. It really it goes to giving everyone in your community a voice and allowing them to be seen. And so that all students can feel welcomed in your classroom. So I love that. Look at us. We went from skeletons on the front lawn to including everyone in your classroom. It's like they're going to let us do this again or something.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm still waiting for them to pull the plug.
I don't know. See, we just got to get Layla to be a guest on the show.
Good night, she has found her voice.
She has. Well, friends, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We are so glad you came and dropped some nuggets of knowledge into the chat. We look forward to seeing you again. And don't forget, you can join us every morning at 7 a.m. Eastern on all your social media platforms, where we talk some shop and banter a little, but most all, hopefully start your day on a good note. So thanks, everybody.
Hey, Teach Better community. Thank you so much for joining the Teach Better Today morning show every single weekday at 7 a.m. Eastern. We have so many resources for you outside of this live stream at teachbetter.com, including blogs, podcasts, and professional development that will bring our team to your school. Wherever you are listening from this morning, please make sure you are sharing and celebrating the incredible educators in this world. And hey, if you are listening over on a podcast to Teach Better Talk, we would love a 5-star review. The comments are always so entertaining. We'll see you tomorrow.